The word real and the word royal are inextricably linked. Indeed, in some languages, the word for real and the word for royal is the same, such as Spanish real. Reality is, in this view, linked with royalty. What is real is what is part of the kingdom, the real estate. What is outside the kingdom is therefore outside of reality. It is not royal, hence it is not real. This speaks to Robert Anton Wilson's concept of consensus reality, mentioned in the previous volume. Reality is a shapeshifter, dependent as much on political decisions as it is on scientific observations. And these decisions and observations are not usually the prerogative of the individual citizen. An essential part, a fundamental part, of the social contract, and imposed from the top down, is a general agreement as to what constitutes reality. To deviate from that agreement is to deviate from society, the kingdom, the real estate, the state religion itself. It is to become, in a sense, a Satanist, a worshipper of an adversary, or a witch, a worshipper of an unapproved god. That's from Sinister Forces, A Grimoire of American Political Witchcraft, Book 2, A Warm Gun by Peter Levenda. This is a Trine Day book. I highly recommend Trine Day. Check their books out. Okay, I had an interview on BTR with, my show on BTR with Chris Milligan, the publisher of Trine Day. He's a great guy. The books he offers are fantastic. Definitely check them out. Just a reminder, Friday, February 18th, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time on blogtalkradio.com/The Stench of Truth, all one word. The link will be in the description box. This week I have Greg Bishop, the author of Project Beta about Paul Benowitz, and from UFO Mystic, talk about UFOs, cryptozoology, intelligence agencies, all that kind of good stuff. So if you're interested, check out my Blog Talk Radio show this coming Friday, February 18th, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The link will be in the description box. I'm going to have Greg Bishop. And now on with the show. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. As you see in the Middle East, especially with some renewed activity now moving into Iran, it seems pretty clear that one may make the distinction now that what happened in Egypt originally was a scripted and planned activity. Now, as far as what was the intended consequences, one does not know. Now, it may be that it was merely started to instigate a region-wide instability, which would be in fitting with neocon strategy and Brzezinski's model for balkanization and destabilization in order to have no significant powers in the region, no large enough state that can effectively counter United States imperialism. And it may have started that way, and it seems like all of these other activities around the Middle East, especially, of course, Iran, were started as contrivances by the CIA, the military-industrial complex, the Brzezinski behind-the-scenes shadow government, whatever you want to call them. So one must be very wary of what is going on, and stay supportive for the people, of course, for those who really want freedom, okay, but realize that what you're looking at is not the entirety of the picture in anything, because what has happened in Egypt is not finished, although it does appear that the military is actually moving in the direction that the people want there. And if that turns out to be a positive outcome, then obviously the people who originally set it in motion lost control of it at some point. So you need to realize that that's a possibility as well. For those who want to just denounce, the activities in Egypt as being, a total sham operation, let's wait to see what comes out of it, okay? And that is true for everywhere else, because it's obvious that sometimes these activities can move beyond those who try to control them and control the outcome. Now, in light of all of this, okay, we have now the coming budget battle here in the United States. And Obama has presented a package, and naturally the GOP is talking about deeper cuts. Now, one thing that is sorely lacking in an examination of all of this, with just the barest mention by Obama about recovery, is the fact that we are still suffering in an economic slump, okay? They don't even like to use the word recession anymore in the news. And depression is something that's like saying fuck on TV. You can't say depression. And it also appears that unemployment now is a thing that doesn't exist anywhere. Okay, they just refuse to talk about it. It's not mentioned because supposedly the unemployment level is coming back and all this kind of stuff. Well, let's not forget that banks are still going under. They're being taken over. Businesses are still filing for Chapter 11, and things are not rosy. We are still living in a very, very pathetic depression with enormous unemployment and with businesses going under and standing at the precipice of, you know, even more loss to overseas in light of possible new free trade agreements and all this kind of stuff, which they conveniently ignore. We cannot ignore what's going on here in this country. And don't forget, the provisions of the Patriot Act that were due to expire have been extended. And you should thank all of the supposed Tea Party members who actually voted for that, as I said before. But let's not forget that we have an economic problem in this country, and we need to be focused on this as well, because this is our livelihood. This is the future of the United States. Okay. Let me just say this, that you are not going to have any relief or anything offered from the supposed right and the supposed Tea Parties that is any different than anything that they've ever offered in the past, which is to say, free money for corporations, lower taxes. Now never mind that the corporations, whatever tax rate they have now, they don't pay now. Lowering their fucking rate is not going to change anything, but this is their description or prescription for everything. Give more to the corporations and they'll produce the jobs. Well, fuck that shit. But that's their answer, and you watch. That's exactly the kind of thing they're going to be putting forward. Now, if you really wanted to do something to change anything, I mean, you'd have to actually address systemic problems. And no, I'm not talking about Social Security. One easy fix for Social Security, as I've said before many times, eliminate the income cap on FICA. That's it. Fixed. Period. So you do not need to attack social programs. How about if you want to attack where money is going, how about you get rid of all fucking corporate welfare? As I said, corporations don't pay the tax rate that they have now. And what's the prescription from the so-called right? Give corporations more. Dump more money on them. Give them incentives. All this other bullshit that never works. Never. It never works. Never. Do you understand? But that's their answer for everything. So watch and see that their focus will be on cutting out money, even insignificant amounts. And that's something you need to understand too. You know, I talk about the WIC program before. They're making victims of women and children here. Now, you might argue that the amount is a pittance. Yeah, it's a pittance, but it's going to affect actual real people. It's no significant cut. But there are billions being spent everywhere else. And finally, where can we cut a huge chunk of money that would actually be good and a good thing? How about 2 motherfucking military operations? How about removing troops from Afghanistan and bringing them home? How about closing the motherfucking bases in Iraq and bringing those troops home? Ending all military operations over there. How much fucking money would that save, motherfucker? And let's see. I'm a Tea Party member. Tea Party's for Constitution. I don't see anything in the Constitution about preemptive war or engaging in imperial fucking warfare. So, I want you to justify with your supposed love of the Constitution, Tea Party assholes, why you're not up there fighting for an end to these wars and the saving of hundreds of fucking billions of dollars. And using that as a way of getting your supposed budget under control. That is the #1 thing that everybody should be focused on for where you can get your fucking savings without raping women and children. And without fucking retirees. And without shoveling more money into corporate fucking coffers, even as they fucking go out of business and go overseas. Is the fucking wars! The military-industrial complex, the Department of fucking Defense, the intelligence agency budget, and Homeland fucking Security, which should be dissolved, by the way. You want cuts? That's the first place to fucking look, right there. But no, not a single fucking mention. And should you be surprised? No. But if you happen to have a Tea Party candidate, maybe you want to ask them the constitutional justification for their total fucking sellout and ass rape. See what they have to say about it. And of course the Democrats, well, they've been there through this entire thing, so we know where their stance is, with their head up their ass and their hand in Wall Street's pocket, playing pocket pool and stuffing their pockets with money in return. So, there you have it. Incestuous relationship all the way around. Anyway, that's my stance. Thank you. Good day.